Skrmetta Show podcast live, finally, from our studio. We're not on the road. We're not in a hotel room somewhere. We're not on an airplane. We are home. We're in studio. Feels amazing, man. To wake up in your own bed, eat your own food. It feels nice. So we're back home for a bit. Been home for 3 days now, and no travel on tap. So everything should be normalized, and that feels fantastic. This podcast is going to be a fun podcast to start your week with. We have a lot of great topics. A lot's happened in the world here. We're going to dive into including Dwyane Wade's son transitioning to a daughter or going by a different pronoun. We're going to talk about the flight video that has taken over the debate stage on Twitter. We're going to talk about aphantasia. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a little test to see if you can create images in your mind. We'll talk about the Houston Astros, and I will take you through all of that. Tonight, we are knocking out this podcast Sunday night at about 5:30 p.m. In about an hour and a half, I'll be watching the season premiere of American Idol. And I'm excited about it. I'm going to try and go all in this year. I'm going to try and go all in on American Idol and the whole season. Little backstory. I had never watched a season of American Idol. I had never seen it until Adam Lambert's season. So Adam Lambert's season, I was in college, and I had decided I'm going to watch this season of American Idol. I'm going to watch this whole season. I want to say I blogged it, which again goes back to the content creator video thing we put out a few weeks ago. But I want to say I blogged my American Idol viewing, which again, ahead of its time. But I watched the hell out of this show. And I started off, just kind of, okay, this is kind of okay. By the time Hollywood Week came around, by the time they actually named the top 16 or top 10, whatever it was, I was fully hooked. Not only did I not miss an episode, during that season of American Idol, I was writing on the American Idol forums. I was on the forums talking about how great Adam Lambert was, how he was the best, how he should win. Hey, I was the biggest Adam Lambert fan there was. I had all of his CDs after American Idol. And I remember exactly where I was for the finale of that season when Chris Allen, and you may be wondering to yourself, who is Chris Allen? And to that I say exactly. But when Chris Allen was announced the winner, I remember exactly where I was. There's a few moments where I remember exactly where I was for that exact moment. 9/11, Boston Marathon bombing, Chris Allen beating Adam Lambert. Those are some moments that I remember exactly where I was, exactly what I was wearing. And American Idol, I have not seen it since. I kind of kept up with it the following year, but my heart wasn't in it. I had felt cheated. I had felt screwed by the voters. And me and the Glamberts, we headed off to greener pastures called The Voice. And I have not seen a full season of American Idol since then. I've caught bits and pieces. I could not tell you who's won really since Lambert. I'm not sure if I can name a winner. And I know Lee DeWise was the season, I think, after Lambert, but I'm not even sure if he won. He may have won or he may have went really far. But I think it was like him, Crystal Bowersox, I think her name was like the people after Lambert. Philip Phillips was after Lambert. And the reason I know him is that I saw him when I was in college. He played at our campus. But yeah, so Scotty McCreery, I think, won. I didn't watch that season, but I know who he is. But yeah, so that's the last time I watched it. So tonight, I'm going to give it a go. I'm not a big fan of the auditions. I'm not a big fan of the audition rounds. It's kind of like the audition rounds is for the funnier, for the kind of goofy things. I like to get to the nitty gritty. I like to get to the actual top 10. Let's eliminate some people. Let's ruin some lives. Let's break some hearts. Let's crush dreams. That's when I get really invested in American Idol. But so that's that. And I'm here with my iPhone 11 that I said last podcast I got. Not a big deal that I had the iPhone 11. If you have an iPhone 10, iPhone 8, whatever, don't feel inadequate. Don't feel inferior. This is not a status symbol. This is not something that should intimidate you. This isn't something that should make you lose sleep at night. The fact that I just walked into AT&T, got the iPhone 11, walked out, didn't even break a sweat, wasn't the biggest part of my day. Don't let that interfere with what we're doing here. Okay, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's just sitting here. It's just sitting over here by my pink Himalayan salt lamp basket. This is not a big deal. Don't make it a big deal. But the first topic I want to get into, and this is water in this cup actually, because it's so late in the day, I'm trying to fiend off caffeine. I'm trying to slowly kind of quit drinking coffee. I've been relegating myself to just a couple cups. Up at a point, I was drinking probably 4 or 5 cups a day, and I think all that caffeine is kind of having a bad result. So I've been planning on cutting back on the coffee. So I've been drinking a lot of decaf tea, decaf coffee, because I still like the heat. I still like a cup of something hot in the morning. So I don't just want to go, cold turkey per se. So this is just water. But the first thing I want to talk about, the first thing that happened this week that I saw a lot in airports or on the news or whatever, was the Houston Astros apology. And so this is something I have not talked about on this podcast or anywhere, but it's something that I've vocalized a lot with friends or whoever has asked me about this. And so I'm going to kind of talk about the whole thing, really. But to me, this Houston Astros thing is the most disgusting, despicable display of cheating or anything that I've seen in sports in a long time. And Major League Baseball, it is so unsurprising that Major League Baseball has completely botched this whole thing. Because Major League Baseball has been botching decisions and botching things for the last decade. It's not surprising to see Major League Baseball descending, just trending down in every way. I mean, look at how the games are played. Look at every other sport and then look at Major League Baseball. So when you see something like this from the Astros, you should not be surprised that Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, and everyone else has totally screwed this up. Let's go to the actual crime. The Astros cheating and knowing the pitches and filming the pitches and all of that and telling the batters the pitches. That is worse than steroids, gambling, anything else that's happened in the history of baseball. This is the worst cheating scandal in the history of baseball. Bar none, no second place, no third place, do not pass go, do not collect $200, go straight to jail. That's how bad this is with the Astros. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you came in here and gave me a cycle of steroids, and I was ripped and shredded out of my mind, and I had my quads popping out of my jeans, my deltoids had triceps, and I had a thick mustache, if I had that cycle of steroids, I'm not hitting in the major leagues. I'm striking out a lot, and I'm looking damn good doing it. My jersey wouldn't even have sleeves, okay? I'd have a tribal tattoo on my throat. I'd have, doesn't matter. But I'd be striking out a lot. I'd be huge, but I'd be striking out a lot. I'd be shredded. I'd be on the cover of magazines, but I wouldn't be hitting the baseball. But if you told me every single pitch that was coming, I'm hitting about 200. I'm playing the game. I'm a serviceable bench player if I know every single pitch is coming. It just makes it so much easier. It makes the game so much easier. You got to think. Okay, these are Major League Baseball players. They know all their opponents, how fast they're throwing, what pitches they have, whatever. So if I've got a pitcher out there, and I know he's got a slider, he's got a changeup, and he's got a fastball, and I know his fastball's coming in at 83 miles an hour, I know everything about him, and you're telling me, hey man, a fastball's coming. I know, not only do I know the pitch, but I know the angle the pitch is going to come from, the speed the pitch is going to come from, and probably where it's going to be. So I know all those things. At that point, it's just throwing my hands in that general area and hoping to make contact. And that's it. Now you're talking about major league players doing this. No wonder the Astros are so good. No wonder Altuve and Bregman are picking up MVPs. It's the biggest advantage you can possibly have in that sport. Bar none, not even close. Now, what pisses me off and what I think is the biggest foundation for why it's such a big deal is think about the pitchers, think about the players, think about the legacies of the people who the Astros trampled over to get to where they are. Think about the no-name relievers who give up 8 earned, 7 earned, 9 earned in an inning because the Astros know what pitches are coming. This poor bastard is barely even on the team. He gives up 8 earned in an inning. He gets cut or he gets demoted to minor leagues. He's playing for a contract. He just got called up to the majors. He's trying to make it in the majors. The Astros crucify him, and he gets demoted. And he never makes it to a major league roster again. Think about that guy. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be like, oh, well, he signed a contract. He's making $300,000. That's more than I'll make in 7 years. That's a stupid argument. Okay, it's a guy who's playing for his career and playing for a next contract. And yeah, he may have made $300,000 this year or whatever, or maybe he didn't. Maybe he's still on a minor league contract. Maybe he's trying to make that first major league contract, and he'll never get that opportunity now because he's already been hit with an 11 ERA, and the organization thinks he sucks. What about the legacies of the people like Aroldis Chapman? Aroldis Chapman gives up the walk-off home run in the ALCS. We all seen the video. What if he shuts the door? What if they don't know the pitches that are coming and he shuts the door on them, saves the game, whatever? How's his legacy change? Take somebody like Mariano Rivera, former Yankees great, probably the greatest closer of all time. How different is his legacy if some of those incredible saves, incredible moments, those high leverage scenarios that he navigates out of, what if a few of those he blows? He blows those saves. How does his legacy look different? Is he still a Hall of Famer? Probably. Is he the first? Is he still a unanimous Hall of Famer? Probably not. That's the difference. And the people who the Astros screwed over, the Aaron Judges, the Yankees, just the people who they stole MVP from, people who they stole All-Star selections from, people who they stole wins from, people who they stole World Series from, those players' teams will never be the same. They will have opportunities have already been taken from them, and victories that should have been awarded them, notches in their belt, legacy builders, whatever, aren't being allocated to them because of the Astros. This is the most selfish, disgusting display of sportsmanship in the history of baseball, not even close, maybe even sports. I can't think of anything that compares to this level of an advantage. Steroids, not close. Gambling, not close. I really don't know what it is. And the fact that these Astros are being able to just walk with no punishment, and Rob Manfred has the gall to tell me that, look on their face, or, look how they're walking around. Like, obviously they feel real bad about it. Why should we punish them even more? What? Why should we punish them even more? Because they're the biggest cheaters in the sport's history. Because they've been the face of the league for the past couple of years, Manfred. Because your whole league's a joke. Because the whole thing's a crock. You've got the team. Imagine if, I'm trying to make a comparison in football, but I can't even think of an advantage in football. I can't even think of what a football team would, I guess maybe if they knew the plays, but even then, that's not even that big of an advantage as knowing the pitch is coming, And Manfred has the opportunity in Major League Baseball. Who is dying? Major League Baseball is garbage. Major League Baseball is falling apart. Why are they falling apart? I've said this for years. They're falling apart because they are the complete opposite of the Americana lifestyle. They are the complete opposite of what people want. Hey, baseball, people are making 7-second vines. Hey, people are making 10-second TikToks and being famous. Jake Paul, my boy, as now I'm a Jake Pauler, Jake Paul has made $20 million a year, whatever it is, off of a career backed by 7-second videos. And what's baseball doing? They're trying to shove 5-hour games down your throat. Oh, well, it's only once or twice a week, right? No, it's 162 times a year. What? Baseball. People aren't even going to the movies. People aren't going to see movies for 2 hours. Why the hell would they sit and watch a 5-hour baseball game or pay to go to a baseball game? It's bananas. Baseball has completely missed the boat on what's going on in the current landscape of the United States. They're so backwards. And this is a great example of why. What do people want right now? What do people want the most right now? What is it? I'll give you a hint. To cancel people. What do people want more than anything? Vengeance. When somebody does something wrong, or even when they don't do anything wrong. When something happens, people want justice, people want transparency, people want punishment. They want people to pay. If you've screwed somebody out of something, the people in this country, or even if you haven't screwed someone out of it, they want you to pay the price, no matter what. The college scandal with the lady from Full House is a great example. They snuck their kids into institutions. Okay. People were chanting Barabbas, Barabbas. People wanted Lori Loughlin, isn't that her name? People wanted Lori Loughlin. I mean, they wanted Mel Gibson to direct a damn movie about her, if you know what I'm saying. They wanted some bloodshed. These people didn't want a slap on the wrist. And that's for getting her kid into a college on a bit of a sly. That's not screwing people out of a World Series and MVPs. So you're talking about a mob who wants justice. And what does baseball do? Baseball says, how about for the first time in history, because baseball is the sport where this happens all the time. Gambling with Pete Rose, what happens? Lifetime ban. Gambling or throwing the game with the Black Sox way back when, what happens? Banned from the game. Steroids, what happens? Like a 5-year Mitchell report. Lifetime bans, exiled from the Hall of Fame, asterisks on career records, a total hammer drop on steroids in every sense of the word. Still happens. If you fail PED tests in the Major League nowadays, you get full season bans, half season bans at the drop of a damn hat. What do they do for the Astros, who cheated way more than gambling or steroids? What do they do with the Astros? They do a 3-4 hour investigation on, I'm not even sure what, close the book on the whole thing, and no punishments except for a general manager and a head coach. What? Look, it's going to sound extreme, but this is how you should handle it. You take Bregman and Altuve. You do an actual investigative search. Call Jesse Ventura. I don't give a damn what you got to do. Do an actual investigative search. If that's who did it, if you can pin it on them, and can their asses. A lifetime ban Altuve, lifetime ban Bregman. It's extreme? Hell yeah, it's extreme. Because you better make sure no other team is banging on trash cans like Doug freaking Funny in the middle of a game. Bottom line, you cannot have this anymore. You can't do this anymore, baseball. This optically is so bad for a sport that's already in real trouble optically. It makes me sick to my stomach. So let's say you don't want to ban them for life. Okay. Then you take Bregman, Altuve's MVPs away. First thing you do is rip them off. Retroactively give them to whoever got second place. So retroactively give those awards back. Remove their names. Remove the trophies. You didn't win nothing. Take that away. Take the World Series away. Then what do you do? For Altuve and Bregman, at the least, 1 or 2 year suspension. I'd say 2. I'd say a 2-year suspension from the game. You can come back in 2 years, son. That's what I'd do. For the Astros, at the minimum, playoff ban. Obviously, you can't ban an entire organization. At the minimum, 1 year playoff ban. Preferably 2. I'd say you can play your games, but you can't make the playoffs for the next 2 years. And none of your players, none of them, can make all-star games or win awards. That's an organizational death penalty, basically. The owner, Jim Crane, I think it is. Crane. I know it's Crane, but I think it's Jim Crane. Sell the team. Sell the damn team. You're exiled from baseball. And don't even tell me You can't force someone to sell a team. Go ask Donald Sterling if they forced him to sell the Clippers. And I'm not saying Donald Sterling should still own the Clippers, but I'm saying that obviously you can force an owner out of a league. So I'd force Crane's ass out. I'd suspend Bregman Altuve minimum 2 years, maximum life sentence. I'd tell them to get out of the game, exile, banned, whatever you want to say. Removing their MVPs, removing everything else they got, retroactively giving out MVPs. I'd be pulling playoff berths, pulling awards, the whole 9 yards. You got to come down hard. You got to come down with a damn death penalty. You can't be saying you can't just have something like this happen. Imagine, like, it's just insane to think about the steroid era and to think about if that would all happen, the steroids thing all happens, and baseball's like, yeah, man, yeah, that's pretty crazy how y'all did all those steroids, but we're not going to do, we're not really feeling it. We're not really feeling a punishment, man. Y'all probably feel bad enough. It's probably pretty embarrassing, so I'm not really worried about it. Like, they handled the steroid thing so differently. It's bananas. But that's what I would do with the Astros. I think it's just so sickening. And it's such a damn baseball thing. It's such a baseball move to have it completely screwed up. And, man, I got a little fired up right there. I'm a little fired up just talking about it. I'm a little fired up just thinking about it, man. I mean, it's just... I honestly just don't get it. I don't get the Rob Manfred thing. I don't get it. And I don't get the apologies. Like, I don't understand why they keep making these apologies. And I feel like we've talked about this enough now. And I kind of blacked out for a second there. I kind of blacked out and just started screaming. So I'm not even sure how that all went. I feel like it went pretty well. But yeah, I have my notes over here to stay on topic. So we'll try and keep that going. And I have no idea how this all looks. Because in the studio, I'm just facing the camera. I've got everything else over here, but the screens have their back to me. So I'm not sure how this looks. So I hope this angle is right. And I hope this angle isn't like mostly just like a fupa type, like a fupa type thing going on or showing my bare legs. I don't want that to happen. So hopefully all that's good. But, I got to take a deep breath after that. The Astros got me fired up. The Astros got me. I'm about to have a damn stroke. Switching gears a bit here. We'll take a little buffer topic. But, man, is anything worse than TikTok? There's a little segue for you. Is anything worse than freaking TikTok? I made a tweet this week that said, I've never seen a good TikTok. I've never seen a good TikTok. Every TikTok I see is the most cringy, hellacious, and maybe I'm just okay boomer. Maybe I'm just in full boomer mode, and that's just my life now. But I hate TikTok. I don't have it downloaded. I don't look at TikTok. I don't use the app. But I see it come through like my Twitter, my Instagram all the time. All the time, at James_Skrmetta. And all TikTok is to me is like watching 10-second clips of high school. Not like when I went to high school, but of high school now. And I don't know if you've been in a high school recently. It's like Lord of the Flies. It's the scariest place on earth. It's like Lord of the Flies mixed with the Shawshank Redemption. It ain't pretty. At my old job, I used to have to go to a high school all the time because I worked at a place that did ocean science, like marine science, aquaculture, stuff like that. And we had a joint program with a high school. And we helped their science classes build basically an aquaculture lab at their school. Won't get into it, but so I would have to go sometimes, like when the media went out there, I would go with them and just kind of oversee the whole thing. And the kids in the class would be there. These are like marine science, highly educated, highly motivated kids in their element. Marine science students in an aquaculture lab with the media there. So this is a pretty secure environment. I didn't feel secure, and it wasn't even my physical well-being I was worried about. It was my mental well-being. These kids, they'd throw looks at you. They'd snicker at you. They'd laugh at you. They'd make fun of you. They'd run around in little packs like little hyenas, little coyotes. You'd have a pack of 3 over here laughing at your shoes. Then you'd have 4 of them behind you laughing about your hair. You can't do the Fortnite dances, so you suck. These kids were mean. These kids were ruthless. It was jailhouse rules, and I didn't have any cigarettes. I'll put it to you like that. And that's what TikTok is like. That's basically what TikTok is all about. TikTok is, all I ever see from TikTok is white people dancing, white people lip syncing, or that's about it, really. And that's just the worst. Because you know what I don't do? I don't go to karaoke bars because I don't want to see white people singing Journey. And that seems to be all TikTok is a bunch of lip syncing and dancing. And it makes me sick. And I'm not sure how TikTok has got this popular because it is the cringiest thing I've ever seen consistently. I've seen probably 200 TikToks, and TikTok is 0 for 200 on enjoyable content that I've seen. So if you watch TikTok, send me something that you think is funny or enjoyable to watch, because I would love to see what's actual good content on that website. So that was a little buffer. So we'll get into, let's get into this before we get into the Dwyane Wade's kid thing. That could be a bit of a rant. Let's talk about this Anafantasia. So I saw this on Instagram. I think it's called Anafantasia. It might be something else. Afantasia. I don't know how to say the word. But I saw on Instagram this lady talking about aphantasia, which is if you have aphantasia or if you are aphantasia, then you don't like see things in your mind. You can't create an image in your mind or something. So hopefully I'll be able to find this and put it up on this podcast. So if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it. If you're listening, just Google aphantasia test, and it's like a red star. The red star is the test you're looking for. And it's aphantasia. That's how you spell it. So according to this test, you see in your mind when you think of a red star, you see 6 different options for the star. The 6th option is like a bright red star, like a true red star. The first option is a black square. You're not seeing anything. And the thing on Twitter or on Instagram was people were blown away that the other side existed. So if you're a 6, you just kind of went your whole life believing that everyone was 6s. And you didn't even know people couldn't actually see things in their head. And then if you're a 1, a black square, you had no clue that people were basically X-Men and could see like images. So to paraphrase the test, she tells you to think of a red star, to think of like a red 5-pointed star. Think about it, you think for like 10 seconds, and then you open your eyes and you pick which number you are. That's the whole test. And I am further than a 1. I am whatever Stevie Wonder, whatever his star is, that's my star. That's me. Like, what star are you? I am the Helen Keller galaxy. Like, I'm not seeing nothing, okay? Everyone on Instagram and Twitter were like, I'm a 6. So, my question is, are people just confused? Are people confused with the test? Or do people actually see images that they're thinking of? When I close my eyes, right? I close my eyes and I think of a red star. Like, I'm thinking of it. I'm thinking of, yeah, it's got 5 corners. Like, I can think about it. But I'm not seeing a red star. I'm not actually looking at this image. I know what the image looks like. I'm thinking of the image, but I'm not seeing the picture. So let me know in the comments or whatever, or Twitter or however you want to do it on Instagram. Let me know which one you are, because I am blown away if people are X-Men and can just create images this vivid in their mind. Like, even right now, I'm thinking about this red star. And I've got the red star. Like, I know what a star looks like. I could draw it. Or I couldn't draw because I'm not artistic. But I could, like, crudely draw it. But I'm not seeing it. You know what I mean? And if people can do that, that blows my mind. That some people are out there basically with superpowers. Pretty damn close to just superpowers. To just being able to create those images. So please let me know what you are. But this blew my mind. And I asked 2 friends of mine. I asked 2 friends of mine to do this test and all that stuff. And at first, they said there were 6. And then once I showed them the key, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the options, they were like, oh, I'm not 6 at all. I'm 1. So I'm wondering if people are just confused and they think they're seeing things and they're actually just like thinking them, or if people actually do see the images. So I'm interested. I'm all in on this aphantasia thing. But let's go into now. Let's go into the Dwyane Wade kid thing. We may scrap. We have another topic. It's on the flight video. Well, we'll probably hit it at the end. So Dwyane Wade's kid. This is something that happened, I think maybe Tuesday, because a friend of mine texted me about it, about what I thought about it, right after we had released the podcast Monday. And I knew that I was going to be super busy and I wouldn't be able to get to it. So I thought, well, I'll just wait until I get home and we'll put it in the podcast. So if you haven't seen, Dwyane Wade's son, his 12-year-old son, was born, I think his name was Zion, and was born a boy, whatever, and recently he has asked to be called a her and a she, and to go by Zaya. I'm guessing it's Zaya. I think that's how you pronounce it. So the 12-year-old boy wants to be addressed and seen as a girl, and change gender, change pronouns, change names, all that. And Dwyane Wade and Gabrielle Union kind of went on this media tour where Dwyane Wade went on the Ellen show and they've made posts about it, and Gabrielle Union contacted the cast of the LGBTQ show Pose for more information about this. And this is a really sticky subject, a really tricky subject to get into. And when I was asked about it, and me and my friend kind of talked briefly about the initial reaction and what I initially thought. And unsurprisingly, my initial thoughts are kind of my current thoughts on the whole matter. And I don't have kids, and I don't think the story, to me, the issue one way or the other shouldn't be with the 12-year-old. So I want to make that really clear that we're not really going to be talking about the 12-year-old's decision. Is like whether he feels like a girl or feels like a boy, it really doesn't matter because he's 12 or she's 12, whatever. And so that decision is kind of put to the side. To me, the question is, if you're a parent, I don't think this is the responsible way to go about it. And if I had a kid, and again, I don't have a kid, but I have been 12, and if I had a kid who was 12 in the exact same situation, and the kid told me, Dad, look, I'm kind of not feeling like being a boy. I want to go by a different name, and I want to change my gender to a he and a she, or from a he to a she. I would support him / her 100%, and I would totally be like, okay, let's whatever you feel comfortable doing, whatever you think is your truth, let's nurture this and see how this develops. I mean, you're 12, What I would not do is I would not run to the local newspaper and be like, hey, so my kid is gender changing, pronoun switching. Can I get a front page story? And we're going to talk about this whole thing in public. And that is 1,000,000 times less than what Dwyane Wade and Gabrielle Union have done. And to me, it's an interesting move to take a very serious and a very complex situation with your young child, a 12-year-old child. It's interesting to take that from me and for them to say, let's take this and let's go global with it. Let's go on the Ellen show and talk about it. Let's put it all over the damn place, across all of our platforms, across all of our channels. To me, this seems like something that probably should be kind of in-house. Because at the end of the day, it's a 12-year-old's decision on a very complex issue. And I'm not saying that Zaya won't remain in this mindset of wanting to be a she or wanting to go by Zaya, but she's 12. And when you're 12, things can be really fluid. When you're 18, things can be really fluid. It's a much smaller decision, but how many 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds change their majors? People just change. People just they just move around. And you see that all over the place. Is it fair to take a 12-year-old's decision of this complexity and to make them make that decision with the entire public's eye on them? To me, it seems unfair to the child. To me, it seems dangerous to the child. Because what if they do one day, or what if they're confused again? What if they're thinking, damn, I know I wanted to go this way when I was 12, and now that I'm 17, like maybe things have altered. How much harder is that decision going to be with them thinking, well, man, I've already made this decision once in the public's eye, like, can I do this again? Why even put that kind of pressure? Why even put that kind of spotlight on your 12-year-old kid? And I just don't know very many 12-year-olds who make a decision, and that decision should be put out to a vastly public eye. I just don't know why or what good it does for that kid. And, when you think about being 12, and you think about just how hard it is in general, you're a 12-year-old boy is just starting like puberty and dealing with your hormones and dealing with just being in the worst stage of your life. That 12 to 15, 12 to 16 world is hellacious. You don't know what's up. You don't know what's down. And as someone who has lived through a teenage boy puberty, it is the worst. You will never look worse in your life. You will never feel worse in your life. You will never be more confused in your life. And not even just sexually, just all over the place. You're a kid. You're a teenager. You're starting to do things like drive, get your first job. You're girls and boys are now totally different. When you're 9 years old, 10 years old, it's all the same. When you're 13, 14 years old, pool parties are very different. What you're wearing is very different. Now all of a sudden you have pressures of social norms and your classmates. Everyone's growing differently. You're not all the same anymore. It's a scary place. So for a 12-year-old to be navigating that scary place, and for all of a sudden every decision they make as a 12-year-old is put on such a grand stage, it just to me seems like a misstep from Dwyane Wade and Gabrielle Union. And I'm not telling anybody how to raise their kids or telling anybody how to be a parent, but I just think it's weird that they immediately ran to these cameras. And I'm just thinking of what situation would that work? I mean, can you imagine when you were 12 years old? You can think of anything. A decision you made when you were 12. And then think about that decision at that time being put on a global stage. Because whatever's on the Ellen DeGeneres show is a global stage. So think about the decisions that you were making at 12. The things that you told your parents. It can be anything. That time you decided you wanted to have bangs. The time you decided you wanted to wear a puka shell necklace. I mean, things happen. And for you just to say, this is who I am, to a global stage at 12, I don't know. That just seems like it does not seem good. It does not seem good to me. And, I know how hard it can be just figuring out who the hell you are at 12. But to decide who you are at 12, to decide who you are is infinitely harder. It's hard enough to just kind of figure out, like, okay, I'm kind of on this road of figuring out who I am at 12. That's hard. To finish the road at 12 is, to me, impossible. Obviously, I hope the kid is happy. I hope the kid ends up being happy. I have no issue one way or the other what Zion or Zaya decides to do. It doesn't affect me. But I think the story, it was interesting how the story was portrayed as, Gabrielle Union, Dwyane Wade supporting son's gender change or supporting the son's pronoun change, and Dwyane Wade's on the Ellen show, and Gabrielle Union's doing this, and they're doing this, and they're all making these joint announcements. I just wonder what the 12-year-old thinks of this. I wonder what the 12-year-old thinks watching Dwyane Wade discuss this on the Ellen show. I'd be mortified if my dad was on the Ellen show talking about something that I told him when I was 13 years old. It's just to me, the story should be, why are Dwyane Wade and Gabrielle Union treating this like a movie tour? They're treating this like promotional material for a TV show or something. They're not treating this like a complex, intense family matter. This is something. Again, if I had a brother, a 12-year-old brother, not even a son, if I had a 12-year-old brother and my 12-year-old brother said, "Hey, look, dude, I think I want to be a she," I wouldn't say, "Hey, man, can you hold on for like 10 seconds? I got to call the local news and get on at 10 p.m. to talk about this." I would feel like my brother would be like, "Hey, dude, what the hell? Why did you do that? Why are you on the news talking about what I just told you? Like, this is a serious situation. Can we keep this a little closer to the chest than this?" So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But that was the first thing I thought of for sure. Let's finish the podcast. The latest viral video is a video off of some plane of a guy sitting in the last seat, punching a girl's chair in front of him. And we'll go ahead and roll the tape if we have it. And the girl is reclined back. The guy is not happy about that, and he's just like punching her seat. And so people are arguing who's in the wrong here, who's in the wrong. And to me, who has flown 10 times in the past month, whatever it is, more, somewhere around there, I think the onus is on him to kind of make sure he's going to be comfortable. I'm not saying she's not being a bit snooty or she's not being a bit aggressive by leaning back into his seat. But look, you're on a damn plane, okay? Everyone paid for these tickets. Everyone is being shuttled around like sardines. You're going wherever the hell you're going. Like, that chair is your universe. That chair is your universe. So all you can worry about is you. I'll give you an example. I was on a plane at nighttime flying, and it was dark on the plane. Very dark on the plane. And I was on the aisle seat of a 3-row seat, or 3-row aisle. I was on the aisle seat. Very dark. About 2-hour flight. And I wanted to read. I had brought a book. I wanted to read my book. And all the lights were off on my aisle. I couldn't see my book. So I was sitting there, and I had the internal dialogue. I was like, man, should I turn the light on? Because if I turn the light on, the guy in the middle seat, because the light is like all the way on the right side. And the light is going to shine across basically 2 people to get to me. And I'm thinking like, man, if he's trying to sleep and I shine the light, like, that could be kind of inconvenient for him. And I made the decision. I was like, you know what, man, this is your 2 hours. You bought this seat. You have this seat. It's your 2-hour flight. He's collateral damage. And I clicked the hell out of that light, and I read my book. And when I finished my book, I clicked the light right off. You have to just take charge of your universe in that situation. So if she's on that plane, I have no idea how long the plane was, but if she was like, I ain't going to make it sitting up, I got to kick this thing back, I got to recline, I got this seat, which has a recline option. The recline option is there for a reason, and she decides to recline, and this guy is in the very, very back of a seat that doesn't recline, hey man, does it suck? Yeah, it sucks. But you know who clicked confirm, accept, acknowledge, pay, whatever? He did. He accepted all that responsibility when he purchased those seats. And in that dog-eat-dog kind of world, when you're in an airport, when you're in traffic, when you're in a situation like that where it's just a bunch of adults making adult decisions and it's kind of a you're on your own Lord of the Flies situation, you got to kind of just do it. You got to kind of just make sure all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. He didn't. He put himself in a situation where he's hoping she doesn't recline. But she's in a chair with an option to recline. So I think he's in the wrong. Now, he lashed out. He decided to lash out and punch at her seat. I think in that situation, again, it's all adults. If I'm her, I'd probably go grab the flight attendant, flight stewardess or whatever, and say, hey, look, this is a problem. I think the flight attendant or the stewardess or whatever they're called now would have sided with her since she wasn't doing anything in the wrong besides being a bit aggressive. And they probably would have told him to stop, got security, whatever. Worst comes to worst, throw him off the plane, whatever it is. But I would have, again, Lord of the Flies situation. You just got to stop that situation. You're a bunch of adults. So if you got somebody kicking and punching your seat and you're not happy about it, filming him doing it is probably not going to work. You're going to have to get somebody to make it stop, or you're going to have to make it stop. And that's just that airplane life. That airplane life, hey man, you don't want the window seat? Don't take the window seat. Pay for the aisle seat. You don't want the aisle seat? Make sure your ass is in the window seat. You can't hope you're not in the window seat, get to the plane, figure out you're in the window, and then get mad at the aisle person for not trading with you. You gotta take matters into your own hands. And I think this guy just kind of let fate decide. Fate decided to flip him off, and he got a little pissed off there and started punching the seat. So I think my official scorecard, he is in the wrong. Thank you very much for listening. This has been the James Skrmetta Show podcast. I think our 4th or 5th straight week with a podcast. So very good stuff to start the year. Fantastic stuff. The podcast will be available whenever. We're shooting for Monday releases. So you can have a podcast to listen to or a YouTube video to watch to start your week and to hopefully take your mind off of work or whatever the hell else you got going on. So thank you for listening. If you made it this far, we are on iTunes. We are on Spotify. We are wherever you want to be to listen to the podcast. The video version is on YouTube. Please, if you're listening on podcast or if you have Apple Podcasts, please. This is something else that someone asked me. They said, what's better for you? Listening on iTunes or listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube? What matters is that on iTunes, that 5-star review. 5-star reviews. If you're listening to this at all, go to iTunes or go to your Apple Podcast and put in a 5-star review. Leave a review for this podcast. That helps this immensely. And if you're on YouTube, of course, like the video and watch the video in its entirety. And that helps out a lot too. So thank you all for the support. I really do appreciate it. You have been listening to the James Skrmetta Show podcast. And I will see you next time.
Are you listening? Damn.